Last weekend, my husband made the most delicious meal outside on our gas grill, and I'm going to show you exactly how he did it. He made an incredible pork tenderloin, charred potatoes and onions. He grilled some asparagus, and in the house, I made a homemade peach cobbler. So in this video, I'm going to break it all down, share all of the recipes and all of the secrets with you so you can make it for yourself. And all these recipes are so simple to make. Promise. Let's get started on our pork tenderloin. And I always cook a tenderloin, not a loin. Big difference there. But I take a really large Ziploc baggie and just put a lot of soy sauce in it. I'm just eyeball everything. It's just a marinade. No reason to measure, honestly. So just put a good amount of soy sauce, and I have a little can of 100% pineapple juice. I put about a half a can in there, and then put in some onion powder and some garlic powder. Just a dash, maybe a half a tablespoon of each. And again, it's just a marinade. You don't have to be super precise. Put in some freshly cracked black pepper. I love my electric pepper grinder. Drop in your pork tenderloin, and because pork tenderloins come with 2 in a package, I always put one in another baggie and freeze it for later. Sliced up, they make really good fried pork chops. So take your pork tenderloin and just kind of squeeze it and massage it and shush it around in that marinade. Make sure that it's worked in all the nooks and crannies and crevices, and put it in the refrigerator for several hours and up to a day. So a couple of tips along the way. When you marinate your pork tenderloin, it needs to be in the marinade for a couple of hours. You can even do it overnight. The longer, the better. To make the onions and potatoes, you need a disposable aluminum pan because we're going to put this on the grill. Trust me, you are not going to be able to use this again. Chop up about 2 potatoes and 1 onion, toss them in, cover them with about 2 to 3 tablespoons of melted butter, season with Lowry's seasoning salt, and then again your freshly cracked black pepper. We do ours up pretty good. We love the way all the seasonings combine with the charred taste from the grill. Toss them around by hand. Make sure all of the potatoes and all of the onions are covered with the seasoning and the butter, and then cover the pan tightly with aluminum foil. On the potatoes and onions, the secret is don't turn them. Put them on the grill and just let them go. Don't peek. Don't lift the foil up. Give it at least 20 minutes, and then you want to take a little spatula and just check the underneath. You want to start to see some char before you actually toss them. Make sure that you seal the foil back on them really well and let them finish cooking. If they start to get too warm or the char is just too much for you, you can always raise them up to a higher rack if you have one inside of your grill. But the char is really where all the flavor is. So now that your potatoes have been on the grill for about 20 or so minutes, you want to get your pork tenderloin ready. Put in the meat probe and put your tenderloin onto the grill. Pork tenderloin really cooks pretty quickly on the grill. And so once my husband laid that on there, oh my goodness, the smell of the soy sauce and the pineapple and the spices were just incredible. But I was in the house prepping the asparagus. It's super easy. Snap the asparagus in half, drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil, some salt, some pepper, and some onion powder. Asparagus that goes on the grill cooks super fast. Just don't let it get away from you. Really, just a couple minutes and it is perfecto. And the secret to cooking meat outside, whether you're grilling it, smoking it, have it on a gas grill, a charcoal grill, whatever it is, my husband's secret is this digital meat thermometer. It comes with 2 separate probes and a little digital display. So he can have something on the grill and he can bring this inside and sit inside in the air conditioning if it's super hot outside like it was for us last weekend. Bring this in, it'll work for up to 1,000 feet away from the probes, so you can bring it inside. And the reason this one is so great, the reason he loves it, is because it has 2 probes. Just the other day, we had 2 chickens on the rotisserie, and each chicken had a probe. And that turned out to be really important because the chickens were different sizes and they were cooking at different times. And so the 2 probes and the display told him when each chicken was done. This is available on Amazon. It is his absolute favorite, and I'll link it in the description box below. So while my husband was outside grilling, I'm in the house prepping the peach cobbler because this is going to cook for about 45 minutes or so, and I want it to be out of the oven cooling while we are eating our dinner. So I'm using fresh peaches. I cut up 3 peaches, made sure that I peeled them well, got the pit out of the peaches. This is what you got to do when you're using fresh peaches. Of course, you can use peaches out of a can if you want to. I just actually had a case of fresh peaches delivered straight from Georgia, so I was dying to make peach cobbler. So I get the pit out of the peaches, slice up the peaches into decently sized slivers. I don't want little chunks, but I don't want gigantic pieces either. And I dropped all the peaches into a big bowl. So in that bowl, I'm going to add a couple of handfuls of brown sugar. I didn't measure this. I just kind of eyeballed it. I made sure to toss it really well with a spoon and set it over to the side while I was making my cobbler batter. I wanted the brown sugar to pull the juice out of the peaches. So into a 10-inch cast iron skillet, put 2 or 3 tablespoons of butter and put it in the oven that is heating up to 350 degrees. You want that butter melted while you're whipping up your cobbler batter. In a large bowl, I'm adding in 1 cup of self-rising flour and a half a cup of sugar. To that, I'm going to add in 1 egg that I very carefully break and a half a cup of milk. I didn't have any milk, so I used half and half cream. It's totally fine, but milk is definitely preferred. I also add in 1/3 a cup of vegetable or canola oil and a good old dollop of some really great vanilla extract. Mix with a hand mixer until it is totally combined. Pull your skillet out of the oven, swoosh that melted butter around, make sure that your pan is totally coated, and then drop in your peaches. Now, you don't want to mix the peaches in the butter, you just want to spread them out so they're kind of evenly dispersed around the pan. And then on top of your peaches, pour in that batter. Oh, the smell right now, the peaches and the batter and the butter and the brown sugar, it is just so enticing. I cannot wait to eat this cobbler. So I'm going to scrape the bowl completely clean, leave no batter behind. Just make sure that you do not stir what's in your skillet. You want the butter on the bottom, then the peaches, and the batter on top. Don't stir it. Never stir a cobbler. Pop it in the oven that's preheated to 350 degrees and just set your timer for about 35 minutes. Keep an eye on your cobbler. The amount of time it takes to cook is really determined by your oven. How brown and golden do you like it on top? How many peaches did you use? And how thick is it in your pan? Mine turned out perfectly. Look at that goodness. When you do a peach cobbler at home, you can absolutely do the same exact recipe using peaches in a can. There's going to be a lot of juice in those peaches, which is actually a good thing. I was using freshly picked peaches and didn't have a lot of juice. I tried to kind of conjured the peaches up to make some juice by putting some brown sugar on them. In the end, because I didn't really measure anything, I probably should have added a lot more butter and a little bit more brown sugar to make some juice. I ended up with more cake than I had juice, which was totally fine. The taste was fantastic. But if you're going to make my recipe using fresh peaches, definitely add more butter into the skillet before you get started so you'll have more juice. If you're using canned peaches, you're good to go. So Randy's got our pork tenderloin off of the grill. Here's a really good look at these charred potatoes and onions. I know they don't look like much, but trust me, the flavor is incredible. There's the grilled asparagus, so yummy. Let me show you some of this chard. This is exactly what you're looking for. Now, my husband cut the pork tenderloin. We like ours a little bit more on the done side. If you like yours a little more rare, hey, go for it. Dinner was fantastic. Now it's time to stuff my face with this gorgeous peach cobbler. Now, because I was using fresh peaches, My cobbler is not as juicy as it would have been if I was using canned peaches, but who cares? It was still freaking delicious and I would make it again in a heartbeat. I made sure to serve our cobbler with a big dollop of ice cream. Oh yeah, look at that. It was a great dinner. I told you, super simple to make all of these delicious items, put them all together for one incredible meal. As long as you have a gas or a charcoal grill, you got it. You absolutely need a cast iron pan for that peach cobbler. You can do it too. See you in the next video.